Okay, sir.
I
Yeah,
started it. Okay.
yeah.
Right. So
Just after the class for my practice purpose, something reference.
definitely, coding is all about practice. If you don't do it, you won't.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes, that's right.
So okay. So welcome to the first class of Python. You don't have to take any notes, Kishore, because I
Okay,
will be providing you the PDF. I will write each and everything in front of you. I will provide you the code link in the class. You just have to pay attention, and yes, if I give you exercises or some questions, that we will do it together. Okay.
sure, sure, Sachin.
All right. Now the agenda for today's class is we are going to start with the very basic thing in Python called as variables, and you can consider this. If you want to relate what is variables, you can say like with the English language, when you start learning the ABCD, so you can relate
Mhm.
ABCD with the variables. We will see what are the variables, and this is the very important component of any programming language. So we'll start from
Okay,
here. Yeah, in order to do this, we first need some installation and all. So I just want you to install some of the things in your system. Mm, yes. So first of all, you have to install. Can you tell me what system you're using, Mac or
no, no,
this?
Windows only.
Okay, Windows. No? Good.
Yeah,
So you can go to the Google and just say Anaconda download for Windows.
Anaconda, I already downloaded, Sachin.
You have? Okay, great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Great, great.
Anaconda, I have Python installed, and Jupyter is already there.
Yeah,
Uh,
Jupyter comes with the Anaconda, so you don't have to do
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And second thing, you have to install VS Code. So do you have this?
VS
Yes.
Code. I didn't install it. I have to install.
Yeah, so you can, in the meantime, like in the background, you can start installing the VS Code and have it ready. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So if you have those two things, then there is no worry. We can start now. Okay. So let's understand what are variables. But before that, we will cover something called as comments. Okay.
Okay.
So comments in Python. So what are comments actually? Comments are nothing but, let's say you want to write some code in your Python file. Remember from the orientation, we have some files, right? Uh, in
Mhm.
the form of .py extension. So
Okay.
let's say you have written this file and you purposely want that some line won't be executed um, when you run this particular file or run this particular program. So those line which you want to ignore, remember this file will be converted into a byte code, and who does this? Interpreter does this. Okay.
Yeah.
Interpreter does this. Now what I want purposely that some of the lines within this code should not execute or should not run when I run this particular Python file. So for that purpose only, I will do some comments in my code, and comments can be done using 2 to 3 ways. The first way is a single line comment, and that can be done using a hash. So whenever you write hash, that and after that, whatever line you will write, that line won't be considered. So Python interpreter, what it will do, it will consider this line as a comment line. So it won't execute or it won't generate a 1010 for this particular line. Okay, that means a binary
Okay.
language for this particular line.
Okay.
Similarly, you can have a multi-line comment. So this we call it as a single line comment. Okay. We can have a multi-line comment also. So how the multi-line comment will look like? This is, we call it as a single line comment. Multiple line comment looks something like this. Let's say you have 3 to 4 lines. So what you will do, you will use a double quotes or a triple quotes, and then end with double quotes or triple quotes. So whenever you write something in double quotes or triple quotes, and when you uh, close that same double quotes or triple quotes in a multiple line, that will become a multiple line comment. Okay, multiple
Okay.
line comment. So let's see this in a Jupyter notebook how it looks like. So what going to do is I'm going to launch Jupyter notebook from here. So there is a Anaconda navigator. You have to open this navigator. It's loading, take some time.
Okay. So once we get through some of the classes, so I think we can start simultaneously. I'll prefer for the machine learning as well, Sachin. So if you advise when we can start, I mean, at a later point of time, just let me know so that I can enroll for that as well.
Machine learning, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so the base is basically Python. I think once we complete the Python, uh, then only you should look for machine.
sure.
Uh, why this is taking so much time? Anyways, I have backup for the same reason. So let me share my another screen and see if that can be done or not. Participants. Okay, share this screen.
So Python, how many days we can cover, Sachin? Within two
Uh,
months?
yeah, within 2 months it should be completed thoroughly.
Okay.
Yeah,
So simultaneously, you will take that Power BI and Tableau as well, or how it will happen,
yeah.
or
I
one
mean,
after other?
yeah, we can Power BI and all those things can be taught simultaneously. Uh, I
Okay.
can take those things, yeah. But machine learning without Python, we can't directly jump on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
That anyway, I need to enroll separately, right? So that is not part of this.
yeah. That I mean, like I think you can discuss with the team. They will tell you.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see my other screen?
I'm seeing something like Zoom browser. Is it the one?
Um, okay. Zoom browser. Let's- What now?
Still, I'm seeing that Zoom browser only.
Hmm, can't you see my Mac screen?
No.
Oh, that's weird because I can see my Mac screen in my another computer. Um, okay, let me do this. Kishore, can you confirm once again?
I'm seeing this Anaconda is loading here
Oh, you are seeing
on
my.
your desk.
Okay, okay. Oh, I see what is happening. Looks like hmm, looks like it has merged my both the screen. That's the problem over here. Okay, anyways, let me. In Zoom, this problem is there. Screen sharing. Don't worry, this should be fixed by tomorrow. So when we join
Okay.
tomorrow class, we won't face this issue. Mm, yeah. Now can you see the Jupyter notebook? I've launched it.
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Now I can show you that because I'm already sharing my screen and
But it is still reflecting the Windows screen only.
Windows one. No? Hmm.
Yeah.
Let me just stop it. Let's see how I can do that. Mm, Okay, I will just allow only a single participant sharing. It must have gone now.
Yeah, it's gone.
And now can you see?
Yeah, I I think yeah, yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so from this Anaconda Navigator, I have launched this Jupyter notebook.
Okay.
So this is running over here. And let's do one thing within the desktop. Let's create folder and let's name it as a Python. Okay. And within this folder, we will create our notebooks for the practice. So in the new, I will just say my Python file. And I will name it as a day one. Python day one. All right. So what is this actually? Jupyter Notebook and VS Code. Like you have seen in our first day, I have written the code in the VS Code and we were executing the file. Now, what is Jupyter
Yes.
Notebook? So Jupyter Notebook is nothing but, this is the only advantage you have in the Python language, that you can write your code in chunks also. That's what Python is also
Okay.
called as interpreted language. Now, within the Jupyter Notebook, you can create a file like IPYNB. So if you see the extension of this file, let's say if I, say uh, download this file. So when I click on file and say download, uh, it is saying Python day one, and let's save this. Can you see the extension of this file? It is .ipynb, right?
Yes.
So the meaning of .ipynb is nothing but interactive Python notebook. Okay. So
Okay.
it's a
Okay.
extension of Python only, but here what happens, you can write your code in chunks. So I will show you example. Remember we have written this hello world program. So when I say
Yes. Yes.
print and within a brackets, you will write within a double quotes hello world. So how this function works actually, print. So print requires whenever whatever you write within a double quotes of the print statement or a print function, it will print on a console whatever you have written inside that. So to run this cell, there is a run button over here. You have to click
Okay.
on that and say it is printing hello world. Now, within a same, interactive notebook file, you can write multiple programs, multiple things. So that's why we call it as a, you can run it in a chunks. So that's the benefit we have only in the Python language. You can't do it, in any other language. And this is the feature given because, mostly data scientists use this Jupyter notebook at their initial stage. So that's why this Jupyter notebook was created. And
Okay.
it is now featured by Anaconda and VS Code also. You can create the notebooks in VS Code also. Now let's see how to write the comments. Okay, so for single line comment, I can use hash, and after that, if I write print and the same command hello world, and when I now try to run this, see nothing got printed because
Yes.
this
Yes.
is treated as a comment in Python, so nothing would happen. Okay. Now, comments are very useful whenever you write lengthy programs. So you have to explain your logic, like what this line is doing or what that line is doing. That's why we comment is required. Okay. Now, let's say for multi-line, if I have written, let's say the same statement multiple times, well, it's a 3 line of program you have written. So either you can do, single line comment like this, or there is a better way. You can comment something like this also. So triple quotes. and close the triple quotes. This is also treated as a multi-line comment. Or you can use double quotes of triple quotes also. So double quotes of triple quotes. And when you run this, see it is printing in a way like it's not printing the hello world, it is printing along with the print, because this, this what it is treating, since you are writing in a Jupyter notebook, so it is treating as a normal sentence. That's why it is printing same as same whatever you have written. Now, what is this slash n actually represents? Slash n represent a new line character. So after here, we are changing the line. That's why slash n is coming over here. Okay. Then
Okay.
after this line also we are changing the line. So that's why slash n is coming over here. The rest of the things are changed. Now you may ask the question why, but it is printing. It should not print anything. The reason it is printing, because since we are writing it in a IPython notebook, Jupyter notebook. So Jupyter notebook has a feature of this multi-line comment. It is accepting in this format, but when you write some program, let me just write you and show you. Let's say if I written some function f1 and which will do add two numbers in sequence, something I'm writing. Okay, you don't have to understand. And then
Okay.
I will say ANS equals to A plus B, and then return ANS. This function will take A comma B, and when I run this and call this function and pass 2 comma 3. Now see, this is a function. You don't have to understand what is the function as of now, but just understand this particular concept. So
Okay.
this is the function which what it will do, it will just add two numbers and return the sum. So when you pass some numbers to this function, I have passed 2 comma 3, so you know that the addition of this 2 and 3 is
Yes.
coming as
Yeah.
a 5. But inside this function, I have written this comments also. And what this comments says that add two numbers in a sequence. So when I run, when I'm calling this function f1, so it is just printing the file. It is not printing this thing because this is treated as a comment. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you just only write, this kind of quotations without writing any code, then that won't be treated as a, comments in the
Comment.
Python. You have to write some code along with that. All
Yes.
right. So yeah, those are the comments. Now let's come to the uh, variables and let's understand what is variables in the Python. Okay. Can you see my this whiteboard screen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So what are variables? So you can consider the variables are nothing but the memory location which is provided by your program when you run it. When you run it. Now, before we go inside it, let's understand what is memory and what are the types of memory. So generally speaking, we have two types of memory in our system. Okay, one we call it as a RAM, random access memory, and another you have is ROM. Okay, read only memory.
Read only. Yeah.
Now just let me turn on my camera so that you will see myself. Okay, so what is RAM and ROM? Let's understand this. So what happened, when you start your computer or whenever you start your phone, so there is something called as BIOS. Okay, so
Okay.
BIOS means all your programs or all your functionalities, basically, to it is saved in a ROM, like your operating system. So BIOS stands for your operating system, and this is called as basic input output. Okay, so all your operating system, whenever your computer is shut off or your phone is off, when you turn it on, what happens? All these BIOS program comes from ROM and loads inside the RAM. Your operating system, your kernel, everything which is required to run your computer or to run your phone. So that is initially available in ROM. That's why whenever you buy phone or computer, ROM size is given as 128 GB or 256 GB, something like that. It's not only 4 GB or 8 GB. ROM required, it's a space. So this is kind of space where all your BIOS lives, and also whatever file you are saving, that everything goes inside the ROM memory only. So what is the RAM memory then? So whenever, let's say you started one application in your phone. So that application initially sit inside the ROM, and it comes in RAM when you start that application. So it loads inside the RAM. So RAM is that memory which helps you to process your application or whatever. Let's say if you open game, calculator, or any kind of application. So RAM is that memory which try to process your application, and that's why RAM needs to be very much faster than ROM. And also in RAM we have partitions. Okay, so in RAM memory we have partitions. So let's say you open this application. So let's say this application is around 1 GB. Now, do you think if 1 GB of application is there, then RAM will require only 1 GB space to load this? No. RAM, what it will do, so it will require almost, twice or thrice of this 1 GB. So it will try to allocate, let's say, 3 GB memory in the RAM here, 3 GB memory. Okay. Now, until and unless you won't be closing this app in the RAM memory, let's say your RAM memory is around 16 GB. So 3 GB is taken by this particular application. So it is floating, it is taking memory over here. It can be anywhere in the RAM. I'm just, trying to explain you the things that somewhere in the RAM, it will take some part and it will try to occupy that space. Okay.
Okay.
By the way, we can join this meeting after 10 minutes once it will be ended. Same meeting.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So this is how the two types of memory we have, ROM and RAM. So all your BIOS component or whatever files, whatever you have, if you are not using your phone, everything is available in the ROM. Whenever you load any application, that will come to the RAM memory, and RAM memory processes it and show the output at whatever you want. In a similar way, whenever you write Python programs, what happened? In Python programs also, whenever, so since we haven't completed the variable, so uh, what happened? Let's say you have created some of the variables. Now, what are the variables? As I have explained you, variables are nothing but these are the memory allocation which is provided by the program when we run it. Okay. So if I
Yeah.
give you the example, let's say you want to um, let's say you want to write a simple program where you will take two numbers from the user. Okay, the first number, let's say call that number as A, and second number is B. And what you will do, you will simply add those two numbers with the operation plus, and you will return the result, or you will just print the result for the user. Okay, that's a simple
Okay.
operation you want to do. Now, here are the things. To hold those two numbers, A and B, so this A and B can be anything. User can add 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever he wants. So to hold those numbers, you want some memory, right? Some memory you want. And where this
Yes.
memory you want this memory in a RAM. Why in RAM? Because you want to process this also. So for processing, what operation you are going to do? You are going to do a plus operation. Okay, and then finally you are gonna return this result. So to hold this numbers, whatever memory is allocated by RAM, we call those memory as a variables. Now in abstract language, that means in a language like Python, C++, we don't directly go inside our memory and say, hey, allocate some memory. So there are other languages also. We call it as a assembly level language. Okay, assembly
Okay.
level language. And example of the assembly level language is 8085, 8086. These are nothing but microcontrollers. So when you learn these kind of languages, you will directly deal with the memory location. So you have to write a program in such a way that you will directly you can say, wanna write that, hey, allocate me this much of memory, or allocate me this much of memory. But those are the very earlier days of programming. People used to write those kind of languages. But as days evolved and new languages come, so abstraction layers are coming on top of the assembly level language. So Python, C++, all these modern language which you are seeing, these are nothing but abstraction layer on top of assembly level language. So to interact with memory, you will write some variables, in the form of keywords. So you can say, hey, the first number I will hold it in a variable called as A. So you can write A variable name, or you can use, A1 variable, A2 variable, anything. So variable name can be anything. There are rules how variable name can be defined. I will teach you that as well. Don't worry. So let's say you first store the number in A, and that number is 2. Then second number, you define the variable B, and within that variable, you have stored number 3. And now you can have to simply do A plus B, and then you can say print, let's say the answer of this, both the addition you have stored in a, let's say, variable called as ANS answer. So you can simply print ANS, and whatever you have in the ANS, it will be shown to the user. So this is
Okay.
how the variables are. Now, internally, what happens, internally, this A variable is holding some memory location for you in the RAM. B is holding
Mm.
some memory location in the program. And those memory location, what they are consisting? They are consisting the data 2 and 3. But each and everything is happening in a 1010 format. Remember this, okay? So all these 2 and 3 are stored in a 1010 format. Now there is something called as binary language also. Okay, binary language. We as a human, we interact with something called as decimal language. Okay, decimal language means 0 to 10 we have numbers, right?
Yes.
So we interact with 0 to 10 numbers. So there is a way you can convert this 0 to 10 in a binary language also, 1010, but we don't have to learn all those things. Internally, computer manages for everything, and we just have to interact with decimal number language, and binary language automatically is taken care by the machine. So I hope you understand what is variables. Variables
Yes.
are nothing
Yes.
but, you can whenever someone asks you, okay, tell me what is variables, you can say Variables are nothing but some kind of memory space within the RAM whenever you run your program. Or you can also say as for the example purpose, you can say it is a kind of container um, available inside your memory location, which will store the values whenever you run the program. So variables are nothing but kind of containers. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
great. Now, why we need variables in the Python? So with this example, it is clear that why we need variables, because whenever a data comes, data we need to process those data, and that's why variables are required. Okay. For example, here, what are the data? 2 and 3 are nothing but our data, right?
Hmm.
And we want to process this. What is the process operation we have done? We have
A
done
plus B.
addition
Yeah.
process, right?
Yes.
And then we have just printed the result to show this. So variables are required because we want to do some processing on our data. All right. Now, before we write some code, um, let me just show you what is what are different kind of data we have. So we have multiple kinds of data, in the in our surrounding, and everything is inspired by nature only. So you can have numbers as a data. You can have floating numbers also, like 1.0, 2.5. This is also one kind of data. Then you can have text data also, right? So text data
Yes.
means anything, your name or string, anything. So text data. Then you can have a data something called as image. You can also have a data which is nothing but audio, right? So all this data, how computer they store in their RAM or in their ROM or in their disk, they store it in a binary language only, nothing but 1010 format. So no matter what the data is, we want to process this data, and to process and hold this data, we need variables. That's the concept of variables.
Okay.
Cool. Now we can uh, code something to understand. Share my screen once again. Other screen. Turn off this.